Whoa, what's going on? What's the deal? Welcome to the Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast. It's your boy T Will. You already know week 14 was crazy. Last week of the regular season for fantasy. Playoffs are here. Playoffs are here. Playoffs are here. Hey, what's going on with the hustles out there? What y'all did this week? Was it crazy for you? Your season still going? Or you done? Let me know. Tap in. But y'all already know before we get going, you sleep, you beat. Hey, week 14, we saw some crazy stuff, some fantasy heartbreakers. I saw one last night with the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown situation with Saquon, that Philly Chargers game. I ain't gonna lie, fantasy can be cruel sometimes. Fantasy definitely can be cruel sometimes. But y'all already know what we're gonna do. We're gonna tap into on the show. We're gonna do top performers, the injury recap, your waiver wire scoop or your hustler's pickup, risk it or bench it, under the shell lock pick, and the hustler's energy lock of the week. You know what I'm saying? Where I lock in on somebody, I throw away the key. And before we keep it moving, make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at the Hustle Sports Network, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Hustle Sports Net. Let's go and jump into it though. Top performers from week 14. This is the top performers in the injury recap. These are guys who were straight up going crazy this week. And actually, I played against one of them, Jahmyr Gibbs. That boy had 37 points, 12 carries, 43 yards, 3 tutties, 7 catches, 77 yards. I got killed by this guy today, this weekend. And he actually the reason I'm going to shout out one of my dogs in the fantasy league, shout out later on in the show, because of Jahmyr Gibbs, because he was the top scorer in our league. But, enough on that. I'll touch on that later. Michael Wilson, 37.2 points, 11 catches, 142 yards, 2 tutties. It's crazy. I was a year earlier on Michael Wilson. And I let him slide this year, and somebody scooped him and was able to sneak into the playoffs because they scooped Michael Wilson. That was a great play. So that's how you get in, manage it. You ain't gonna end with the season with the squad you drafted, but that don't matter. All that matters is you get in, and from there, anything can happen. Josh Allen, again, the dude I played got Gibbs and Josh Allen, so I mean that's 77 points between two people. Josh Allen had 40.35, 251 pass yards, 3 tutties, had 9 rushes for 78 yards, and then another tutty. Can't do nothing with that. And then Harold Fanning, tight end from the Browns. Boy had 25.4 points, fantasy points, that is, 8 catches, 114 yards, and a tutty. And then Seattle defense, they're a staple up here. This is probably like my third or fourth time shouting them out as the top performer. They had 20 points, 9 points allowed, 2 picks, fumble recovery, a TD, and a sack. So those are the top performers. I gave you one at each position. Y'all tap in the comments, in the chats. Let me know who y'all top dog was this week in week 14. My surprise usage spike, Blake Corum. Hey, I grabbed Blake Corum a couple weeks ago. He didn't really do much. His usage kind of been inconsistent, or his production been inconsistent. His usage actually been pretty steady. Now, he tailed off a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but this week 14, 12 rushes, 128 yards. His usual snap count, around 30%. But he had a day. And one thing the Rams kept talking about is they want to preserve Kyron Williams for their Super Bowl run. Now, just because they Super Bowl run, you know what I'm saying, they preserving their top dog, don't mean we can't go grab the guys that they gonna lean on just to preserve their top dog. So, hey, it was the top performance. Surprise usage spike. Had Jahmyr Gibbs, Michael Wilson, Josh Allen, and then I had Harold Fanning, and then Seattle defense. And then my surprise usage spike was Blake Corum. Now, before we keep it pushing, I want to say this real clear. Athletes are people. You know, they got families. You know, they got a life that need to live outside of football. So prayers up to all these players right here. This is the injury list. Keep y'all informed for the injuries for the fantasy season. But most importantly, we pray for a healthy recovery for all these players going forward. You know what I mean? So they can get as close to 100% as possible. First up, Daniel Jones, Achilles injury. It was announced that he out for the year. Jaden Daniels had a left elbow injury, the same elbow that he missed a few games with. I haven't seen anything official as of right now, but I don't really think it makes sense to bring him back. They 3-10. They just got murdered by Minnesota. They ain't going nowhere. Ain't no point of risking it any further. Sit him down. And I drafted Jaden Daniels, and I drafted him high too. I drafted him third round in my league, and it just went against me. Thankfully, it ain't stopped me from going to the playoffs, but it went against me. Tyrod Taylor, growing injury. Geno Smith, right shoulder. Devon Achane, ribs. Keaton Mitchell, knee injury. David Njoku, knee injury. Zach Ertz had an ACL injury. I saw he was out for the year. That was nasty too. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Ertz been a staple his whole career, 13 years. He been a dog the whole time. And then Darnell Washington had a concussion. So, like I say, we pray that they go to 100%, get as close to 100% as they possibly can. You hate to see injuries in the game, but unfortunately, the athletes put their bodies on the line, pretty much for our entertainment, so we can have fantasy. So we appreciate the sacrifice, but we hope y'all get well for sure. So hustlers, y'all already know what time it is. It's time to get into that hustler pickups. Our waiver wire scoop, hustler pickups. Week 14 gave us some breakout names. You know what I'm saying? So let's go and break them down. Let's go and get into it. First up, my guy. I've been saying his name wrong the whole time. I done shouted him out a few times on here. It's Chimere DK. Chimere DK. Titans wide receiver, 16% rostered, 8 targets, 5 catches, 24 yards, 1 tutty this last week. But he averaging about 7 targets a week ever since, really went down. Now, you see here on the screen, his stats ain't, lovely over the season, but you see he got some breakout games. I mean? He had 21 a couple weeks ago. He had 13 this past weekend. Had 16 in week 8. 18.9 in week 7. Like, he's shown that he could produce, and he might be able to get you some dubs in the playoffs. Now, if you don't love the matchup, obviously, play your hitters, play your league winners. But I would hate to not have this guy on my squad if I need some wide receiver help this late in the year. Next up, I ain't gonna lie, I was I was high on this guy early in the year. I had dropped Ramondre for this guy earlier. No, I'm lying. It was Ollie Gordon. But Jalen Wright, though. Jalen Wright, 2% roster, 24 rushes, 107 yards, 1 tutty. Like I said, Devon Achane got hurt in the game. Monitor that status. I'm going to get that out to y'all. Follow us on Twitter, Hustle Sports Net, or X, Hustle Sports Net. And I'll keep y'all abreast on that injury news with Achane. But in the event that Achane ain't available this weekend, Jalen Wright is a play. You see here, he had a crazy day. Very efficient on the ground. 24 rushes. They trusted him immediately. Threw him in the fire, and they trusted him. He scored, got major work. So, hey, like I say, if Achane not available, you could trust this guy. He might be somebody you could play that could stream you, or if you got a stream, he might help you get to a win this weekend. Try to keep your season alive. Next up, I grabbed this guy too. I had him at some point this season. Blake Corum, 22% rostered, had 12 rushes this weekend, 128 yards, 2 tutties. Like I said earlier, in the surprise usage segment, the Rams are openly talking about how they're trying to keep Kyron Williams. They're trying to preserve him for their Super Bowl run. And in the midst of that, as you can see here, Blake Corum is efficient. He's starting to figure it out. Last week, 12 rushes, 128 yards. Week 13, 7 rushes for 81 yards. Scored in both weeks. He's starting to trend in the right direction. Blake Corum, they was high on him when they drafted him. You might have been a year or two early on him when you grabbed him, but it looked like the time is now for Blake Corum because he's carving out a role in the explosive Rams offense. And it's very efficient. You know, the numbers look good. You know, I mean, his yards per carry look good over the last 2 weeks. So you might be able to stream him or play him, or, you know, and maybe he can get you to a dub. This next one, I ain't gonna lie, all biasness. All biasness. Devon Vele. I saw him in Denver last season. I love this game. It looked like they wanted to go to him. And then they traded him to my Saints. 8% rostered. He had 93% of the snaps yesterday or Sunday against Tampa Bay. Now, he only had 3 catches. He only had 40 yards. So it was a light day, 7 points. You know what I mean? It ain't the worst, but it ain't the best either. But they traded Shaheed to open things up for Vele. They clearly like him. They clearly trust him. So, you know, Vele is a name that you could probably grab and throw into the lineup if you need some wide receiver help. Shuck is showing QB1 potential. He's showing that he could possibly lead a squad. So I like Vele. I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, it might be biasness, but I like him. I saw what he done. He done some he flashed out a little bit in Denver. He's flashing out here in New Orleans. As you can see, he had 23 fantasy points in week 13. So they're gonna try to get him the ball, and I think he's able to do that. So that's a wrap on the Hustler pickup list. You know, I had Chimere DK, had Jalen Wright, had Blake Corum, and then I had Devon Vele. Tap in the comments, in the chats on X. Let me know who you got. Let me know who you rocking with. That's a good scoop this week. You know, that can help somebody win the league. All right, so like I said, that's a wrap on the Hustler pickup list. Go ahead and claim them early. Don't sleep on them stashes. Don't sleep on them pickups. Now it's decision time. Risk it or bench it. It got some tough matchups in week 15. I ain't gonna lie, I look like I benched a good bit of them. You know what I mean? It's a weekly sweat. It's playoffs for a lot of people. Might be some tough decisions for you. First up, I got Jordan Love versus the Broncos. I am benching that. I'm benching that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even playing. And I like Jordan Love. Or as Broussard, I like to call him J-Lo, but I like J-Love better. But I ain't gonna lie, I ain't feeling the love this week. He got Denver. They got the 9th ranked pass defense. I don't like the matchup. It ain't a great matchup for him. So yeah, I ain't feeling the love. I'm gonna bench Jordan Love versus Denver. I ain't risking that at all. Next up, I got Chase Brown versus the Ravens. Now, I asked this a couple weeks ago as well when they played the Ravens 2 weeks ago. I'm risking it again. You know, Chase Brown had 15 for 78 and 7 catches against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. He had a good day, had a great day. So, you know, the Ravens defense, I think they, if I am mistaken, they 25th in the run, 18th against the pass. Chase Brown can do both of those things. So that's a matchup I'm willing to risk. It's a division game too. They got to go to Cincinnati. It's a great matchup for Chase Brown. So I think he's going to have a great day. Next up, Kenneth Walker versus the Colts. Hey, bench it. I'm benching that. I am benching that. The Colts are 7th against the run. Walker's matchup tough. I ain't feeling it. You know, now I know the Colts just lost Daniel Jones. That's the other side of the ball. But maybe they play inspired football, you know, and lock up even more. But even just based off the metrics, Kenneth Walker, not a great matchup. Not a great matchup for the Colts. And he kind of been up and down this year anyway. I know Charbonnet kind of be stealing some of them touches. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't believe that's something you have to worry about going forward in the rest of the playoff run. But this week against the Colts, not a great matchup for Kenneth Walker. Next up, I got Michael Pittman versus the Seahawks. I am benching that as well. Seahawks just killed Atlanta. Now, I know Atlanta going through some turmoil, or turmoil might be strong, but they're going through some transitions. Penix out for the year. They went back to Kirk Cousins. Drake London out for some weeks. He might be out for the year. Who knows? I'm not hearing a lot of updates on that. But the Seahawks locking up. even when they lost to the Rams a few weeks ago, they only gave up 20 points in that game. Now, Darnold had 4 turnovers. He gave the ball up a good bit. But even then, the defense still held it down, still gave the offense a chance to win the game. So, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm just not Michael Pittman versus the Seahawks. They give up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to wide receivers. So it's not looking like it's gonna be a good day for Michael Pittman. Next up, I got Theo Johnson versus the Commanders. I am risking that. Now, I ain't gonna lie, that's biased too, because I got Theo Johnson. But I'm risking that. The Commanders, the 30th ranked passing defense, bottom 3 in the league. They've given up the 2nd most yards, fantasy points to tight ends. Theo is in a great position. He has a great opportunity to go crazy this week. They coming off the bye. Most teams look a lot better when they coming off the bye. They look like they rested. They look like they've addressed some things that probably bit them, going into the bye. And once they come out the bye, they have great weeks typically. So, yeah, I like Theo Johnson. And that's a wrap on my Risk of the Benches segment. Tap into the comments, to the chat. Let me know who y'all risking it or benching it with. You know what I mean? Who y'all risking y'all playoff lives for, and who y'all saying, hey, I do not trust this guy with my playoff life in the balance, my season in the balance. Let me know. Tap in. So we're going to keep it pushing. The Under the Shell Lock Pick. This is a segment about the names nobody really watching, nobody really mentioning, but it's looking like they should. Again, another bias pick for my Saints. Devin Neal. He got the Panthers this week. He coming off a great weekend against Tampa Bay. He dropped me 15 points. I was able to benefit from some of that. Now, I lost, but he had a good day. Had a good weekend. Had 19 rushes, 70 yards, had a tutty, had a catch for 14 yards. So he had 84 yards, from scrimmage. Panthers ranked 19th versus the run. The Saints beat them in Carolina or in Charlotte about 3 weeks ago. And that game was ugly. That game was one of those throwback old school run heavy type games. It was ugly. They got to go to New Orleans this week. Everybody knows it's hard to play in New Orleans, regardless of how good the Saints are. It's always going to be tough to play in New Orleans. But, yeah, I like what I've seen from Devin Neal. He look like he got explosiveness, elusiveness. He pretty quick. Look like he got great vision. So 84 yards from scrimmage this last week. Tampa Bay defense a little leaky against the run, but Devin Neal looked good. So that's my Under the Shell pick. Y'all tap in. Let me know who y'all Under the Shell got. Who y'all like that ain't nobody talking about, but they should be talking about. All right, now. That's a wrap on that. Let's go to this Hustlers Energy lock pick of the week. Now, this is who I'm locking the lock with, and I'm throwing away the key. This is what it is. This is what I feel like it's gonna be a great day. This is what I'm standing on. This is what I'm leveraging on. Travis Etienne versus the Jets. Jets got the 25th ranked run defense. Etienne averaging 17 carries, 67 yards over the last 6 games. Not crazy numbers, but with 67 yards and a tutty, you're going to have 12. And that ain't even counting the pass work that Etienne typically gets when Trevor Lawrence need a check down. He coming off 2 tutties this last week. Travis Etienne, he really good. I think he a mid-tier back, but he really good. You know what I mean? He probably not a workhorse because of, sometimes you get banged up. But I think we've seen it year after year. When he's healthy, he's like that. He really like that. He a dog. Like I say, coming off the 2 tutty game, Jacksonville looking better. Jacoby getting worked in, so that's probably going to open up some of that run for ETN where he can even look even better. Jets have been playing better since the trade, since they traded their best defensive players. Ironic, right? But I like the matchup. They still a leaky defense, still poor, still low end. ETN got a good opportunity to go crazy. So that's my Hustlers Energy lock pick of the week, who I'm locking the lock with, and I'm throwing away the key. Post your Hustlers Energy lock pick of the week. Use the hashtag Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast. Tag us at Hustle Sports Net. Let us know who y'all standing with, who y'all leveraging with. All right. All right. So now we here. Now we late into the show. Got to shout out the fantasy shout out. My Any Given Sunday league. I'm shouting out the top scorer, my dog, and I mentioned him earlier how he had Gibbs and Allen. As y'all see, that's me on the left. Colorado born Rostro, 175.25 points. Against me, it's funny. On my basketball episode, the top scorer was against me. And now here we are again on the football episode, top scorer against me. Hey, bro was managing. Bro could have ended some playoff lives late in the season with this roster. You know what I mean? Look at it. It's crazy. He got Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Allen. He had Jameson Williams who had a good day. Look at Christian Watson, bro. That's insane. Insane. And it's funny. I was watching that Packers game. Every time I look up, Christian Watson was doing something. Wouldn't even check my score because I already knew it was getting ugly. It was getting ugly. So it was over pretty quick for me. Even though I scored 146, it was over pretty quick for me. I can't even front on that. But yeah, great job to call it the manager of Colorado, Born Rostro. You did your thing. You made some crazy moves. 175 ain't nothing to scoff at. That's a crazy number to score. So shout out to you, league. Shout out to him in the Any Given Sunday league. And also, I'm announcing it here first. If you align with the Hustlers values and you win the Any Given Sunday league, you getting a personal invite from me. Come on the show. Come talk about your championship season. Walk us through some moves you made, the journey, the ups, the downs. We want to hear it all because we want to be helpful to everybody. It's community in this fantasy space. So yeah, we want to hear everything, your thoughts, whatever you decisions you made, tough decisions you made, tough drops you made. So yeah, that invite gonna come from me. I'll hit you up privately, let you know, hey, look, come to the show. Let us know how it went down. So here we go. We're approaching the end. Let's hit a community debate before we get up out of here. Let's hit a community debate. And I ain't gonna lie, this one personal. This one personal. And before I go into my spiel, make sure y'all drop y'all thoughts on X at Hustle Sports Net, Facebook, Instagram at the Hustle Sports Network. Tap in. Use the hashtag Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast. Let me know. The fantasy community debate. Are fantasy managers cutting rookie wide receivers too early? And hey, I open that up to anything. Rookie tight ends, rookie running backs. Absolutely. And you know how I know? Because I was one of those managers who dropped a rookie too early. I was able to secure a trade to get R.J. Harvin. Didn't give up much. Gave up Pacheco for R.J. Harvin. At the time of the trade, it was pretty even, pretty fair. I dropped R.J. Harvin maybe like week 8. I had Bucky, Omarion Hampton. They both went down. I needed somebody to come in and help me get a dub by week 8. R.J. Harvin wasn't there yet, but we could see he was trending in the right direction. And guess what? J.K. Dobbins go down. Somebody in my money league go grab R.J. Harvin. And guess what? He reaping the benefits of R.J. Harvin. So, yeah, absolutely. Are people throwing in the towel way too quickly on the rookie skill positions? Absolutely. Patience. Look, I can scream it till I'm blue in the face, but you gotta practice it. You gotta practice it. And that apply to anything in life, not just fantasy. Patience. Patience is what's gonna offer you the clarity to know when to make the move. So if you patient, that don't mean holding on too long. That don't mean dropping too early. But if you patient, it's gonna be just right. So to double back, yes, absolutely. Fantasy managers can give up on the rookies too quickly. So that's a wrap on this episode. You know what I mean? We did the week 14 recap, week 15 prep. We gave you the top performers. I gave you the injury list, the Hustlers Pickup, Waiver Gems, Risk It or Bench It, and our Under the Share and our Hustlers Energy Lock Pick. Make sure y'all follow the Hustle Sports Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on X at Hustle Sports Net. Rate the show, share it with your league mates, tag the show. Hey, we appreciate all the hustlers that tap in. You know what I'm saying? And until next week, make sure y'all keep y'all energy up, keep y'all line up tight. And you already know, if you sleep, you beat. That's what it is. I'm your boy T Will. Appreciate you, hustlers.